Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko, and we hope that you had an amazing weekend, and we're glad that we're back on this program to accompany you throughout the week. And I'm here with my co-host, Ibrahim Abalde, who is drinking coffee the moment I started introducing him. Hanga pulla dafa bari haja.
Dafa wara professional. Everything logis dafa wara hamga logis in life step by step la.
Ak nan coffee
so
bi.
we have grown to a stage whereby legi buy nañ suñ milk bi. Legi coffee la ñu naan ci suba Mr. Mbodj. You know, this is the new this is the conventional fuller.
Mr. Mbodj, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you here. How was your weekend?
It was fantastic, especially capped by the football match,
Yeah,
the final,
AFCON.
of course.
Yeah.
Last night, I just imagine that everybody really watched it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was nice.
Yeah, but what is your perception, you know, Cote d'Ivoire, you know, from where they were, you know, during the group stages to now being the champions of the AFCON?
I'm a bit of a romantic. I like fairy tales.
Right.
I think was it on Friday, I went to Tamba,
Yeah.
you know, the sports journalist in the radio. I said, you know what, I just wish the cup to remain in Ivory Coast.
Okay.
Look at the way everything started.
Right.
They were not really supposed to get here.
Exactly.
They were not even supposed to get to the knockout
Yeah.
stage. But somehow, here they are, sacked the coach, you know, mid-tournament after the first round, the group stage. And then look at it. The caretaker coach, look at what he's done. He's won it.
Yeah.
This is absolutely fantastic.
Well, there is something that has been consistent when it comes to the football, the tournament itself. I mean, Ivory Coast, the champions, I mean, like most of their games, their opponents will score first. Then they will equalize and score again. So I think it's been consistent, I mean, that way. Even yesterday, that's how it happened. Nigeria, I mean, scored one at the first half, I think, around the 30-something minutes. And after the second half, they scored and scored another goal again. So I think it's about determination, you know, and, you know, working hard as a team, you know, to be able to get to where they got to.
Yeah.
This time.
I think generally it's even beyond, we have a proverb already, but the Ivory Coast story is already, you know, a life lesson that we can all look at. You know, it's kind of showing you that how you start does not matter, but it's about how you get to end your journey. The most important thing is succeed in what you're doing. You know, some of the hurdles that you encounter along the way does not matter. When it comes, you just have to soldier it, and the end result is at the end is the determining factor. At the end of the day, they got the trophy and they're the champions, and that's it. Everybody forgot about their challenges now.
Well, I can remember there was a stage where Ivory Coast have to depend on a team to win a game or lose a game so that they can qualify at the group stage.
Yeah.
So I think it's about, you know, a bad beginning can sometimes be there can be a good ending.
Absolutely. I mean, Equatorial Guinea humiliating them, the 4-0, all of that happened. But let me tell you something, yeah? For some of us who've been watching these tournaments for a long time, teams sort of just sometimes start slow. Be careful towards the middle and the end.
Yes.
They end up very, very strong.
Right.
When, for instance, Spain won the World Cup, the first match they lost in 2010, South Africa. They lost the first match, they went into and they won. Even Nigeria didn't start well. So you realize that those teams that started, you know, flying, that had a flying start, look at what happened.
Yes,
they just had a flying start to the airport. And then those who started very slow, look at it towards the
At some
end.
point, Senegal was on top of the...
But I feel like they underestimated Ivory Coast at some point, you know. That happens.
Well, I think the reason for underestimating Ivory Coast is how they started.
Right.
I mean, they did not start good. You just mentioned they were humiliated 4-0. I mean, I think that wasn't a very good start. So, obviously, if you are a superstar, stars like Senegal, they will think it's about just climbing, or, you know, on top of their heads and pass. So, I think they didn't get a good start. So people are talking about the coach they sacked.
Even before kickoff, really, they were not the favorites. You know, most commentators thought Senegal and Morocco, they were really the outstanding favorites,
Right.
and perhaps Egypt there, and the like. And then the way they started in the group stage, people thought, oh my Lord, are we going to have an early exit for the host?
Yeah.
At some point, people were worried that that might happen.
Right.
And then perhaps this was the pivotal point when they changed the coach. Now, this is a very interesting one. They had one who wasn't, obviously given the results. So they got rid of that one, and his assistant took over. And the assistant, Ivorian. Faye, fantastic. This is a...
Yeah, but generally, I think locally, let's also, because obviously AFCON has wrapped up, special thanks to QCell for being the official GSM partner for, AFCON, and all the other individuals and companies who have supported the National Coordinating Committee. Hopefully next year we'll be able to, bounce back. We reached the quarterfinals, the last AFCON. We stopped at the group stage this year, so hopefully, we'll take a look at some of the gaps when it comes to infrastructure, payment of bonuses, and a lot of other issues that actually happened prior to our players actually getting to the pitch, because we already saw failure before they got there. So it is important to recognize that. But moving on, we have a proverb, Ibrahim. Do you want to take us through?
Well, it reads, you have brains in your head.
Yes, so man, bu ma ko gisee moo tax ma bàyyee la ko.
Waaw loolu la gaay wax.
Proverbe bi fan la jógee ni?
Proverbe.
No, lii du proverbe.
Lii du proverbe, lii ay foyantu la.
It's just a quote of some sort.
Waaw, lii moom ay foyantu la.
You have brains.
Kana taana proverbe bi, yow la wala kan?
You have brains in your head.
Kana taana proverbe.
maa dee fule fu ne.
Waaw, parce que sometimes moom nga mel ni ku sa bopp bi réglé wul rek.
Jana.
No, bi moom mooy door.
Moo tax ma bàyyee ko ko.
Janax da nga war a bari pax.
Bari pax.
Understand nga?
Anyway, let's move on. I think we all agree that the proverb is either incomplete or it's not a proverb. So let's move on to current affairs. If we are not supposed to go for a break.
We have to, we have to make sense. No, the reason why we put the proverb, we put this quote, is for us to talk about it. We cannot just brush it. You have brains in your head. So it's telling you should be able to cogitate. Understand that? It's telling you should be able to think. I mean, the reason why the proverb is telling you have brains in your head is for you to use your NCP helon.
No.
You understand? Your warulo neka nit ko xamne rek ya ngi neka domi adama, but you don't think. You don't think before you make any move. You understand? So I think it's telling you have to. No, the reason reason why you have a brain is for you to think. You understand? So it's just beyond. It might be a thin line. It might be a very short quote, but it's a quote that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Of course, I understood that, but I also thought, oh, what is this brain? It's just an 8-ounce material looking mushy. The gray bits, they call it your gray matter. That's where you do your thinking, and it's got other bits as well. What thinks? Is it the brain or the mind? See, you raised that difficult philosophical question for me. What really thinks? There's something happening in the brain, but is it really thinking? Is it a mind that thinks? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
there's no
jahase. Understand?
You make a distinction.
Mind, so ne mind. Understand nga? So ne brain. Understand? Mind be and brain be, they all play a very important role.
Are they
for
the
you
same
to deliver.
Are they the same thing?
Well, they can be different. They all might have their roles to play. You understand? So brain be might think. You understand? You think with your brain. You don't think with your mind. How can you think with your mind?
All right.
You don't think with your mind.
Because thinking is an activity, isn't it? You use concepts in a particular, perhaps systematic relationship. You will lead to certain conclusions. You know what I mean? It is a process of something, doing something. How can the brain, a material object, do that? It is a mind, perhaps, that thinks. How do you respond to that?
Well, I don't agree with that. This makes the program interesting. This is what viewers want to hear. So, at this point, you are telling me you need an expert, to help you analyze that. an expert who will help you define that.
But
because
it is your mind.
No, but
remember,
even
it is not somebody else's
no,
mind.
Mr.
It's
Mbowe,
your
you cannot
own.
tell me the mind thinks. You cannot tell me it's the only mind that thinks.
Let's say, okay, the person thinks. That's really what it is.
So, man,
the person
the brain
thinks.
and the mind compensate each other. Dama agree. Why don't we no. brain do they think?
No,
why ñun di fi suñ time xale dañ mag lu ñu dee wax usal sa boppa bi nga xalaat.
So it's metaphorical. This guy you can use in fee. It's really a metaphor. Again, you have brains in your head. So what do you mean by brains?
So what is the use of the brains?
No, I don't know. You know.
No, Mr. Mbowe.
Anyway,
I mean, so now
let's move on.
Well,
so
if you think your brain thinks or your mind thinks, please
it's important
send it on our Facebook page on our YouTube.
So hopefully tomorrow we'll have a better proverb for you all.
No, this is a good proverb.
No, this is not a proverb. It's just a phrase.
You cannot just brush the proverb. No, but it makes the conversation interesting.
No.
There is a reason why we put this.
There are many talking points.
There are reasons why we put them here.
Why listen, Larek? It's just a statement, not a proverb,
but
right?
very powerful statement.
Wow.
You have to agree.
Anyway,
provocative.
Let's move on to current affairs. You said I'm not sure if we are supposed to go for a break and then when we come back we continue, or let's just continue and then hopefully we'll go for a break later. So, Mr. Mbowe, to start with, February 18th is Gambia's Independence Day. And since last year, we've seen how the presidency decided to come up with, the dialogue that they organized last year. Last year, it was just a small, gathering. The president did not have this interface with political party leaders. But this year, we have the youth component, which has to do with irregular migration. We have, different other components that are being taken care of by the Supreme Islamic Council, the Christian Council. But the most important to many is the one with President Adama Barrow and heads of political parties, to ensure that, they're on the same page and all working towards the National Development Plan. So what's your take on it,
Yes, of course, first one must observe that to have dialogue is much better than confrontation.
Exactly.
It's a fantastic, brilliant idea, especially making it coincide with our independence anniversary. That's all fantastic. But for me, there was another question. Okay, what is the, what outcomes do they have to achieve with these dialogues? You see, for me, that question is very important, because when it comes to development or how we're going to live in peace or any of these ideas, any of these objectives that we want to fulfill, when it comes to the means of achieving them, you are going to have maybe some disagreement. So what do I hope to achieve by this? I don't know, if it could be more specific, as I was talking to Mr. Kah this morning, Malik, for instance, with something like, so that we can agree on a given constitution that we can pass in the parliament.
Okay.
If it had been perhaps concrete
Okay,
stuff
so you wanted
like
it to
that,
be tailored.
concrete stuff.
Okay.
But when it's general like that,
There's
I'm
no
not sure what
specific.
does it mean. Because when we agree on anything, yeah, we agree on
It's not
anything.
binding.
But now we're going to implement. It's easy to agree on what are our ends. Or we want national development, we want peace, we want all of that. But by what means do we reach our ends? That's where disagreements.
Yeah, but also we do not know what the discussions.
Absolutely.
Because the discussions can lead to anything.
Anything. That's
it can lead to anything. So.
And it's from discussion that you bring disagreement.
Exactly.
So in other words, the point is, not that we wouldn't disagree, but I hope this is the whole point of the dialogue.
Yeah.
To have a kind of platform where we can agree to disagree.
Exactly.
I think
in a healthy
that
way.
is what societies
In
want
a
to
healthy
have.
way.
Agree to disagree, because that sort of situation, that's really
And
the
you
nature
know
of
what,
politics.
Mr. Mbowe, I
will always be.
I don't agree with how, citizens are trying to put a specific concentration to the fact that, President Barrow and Honorable Usainu Dabo will be meeting. So I saw that, and that they're making, a whole noise about it. So I'm like, this is beyond that. Guys, that's not, let's think properly. It's not about President Adama Barrow and Usainu Dabo meeting in the same platform to have a conversation. This is about all political party leaders meeting. I understand, obviously, the United Democratic Party and NPP are the biggest parties in the Gambia. I understand that. But I do not want, you know, the dialogue to be centered around and people's mindsets to be centered around that, because we should come past something like that, because it's beyond those two. You know, it's about everybody participating. What's your take? What do you think?
Of course, I know. You don't want it to be sort of personalized like
Around
that.
two individuals.
Around two individuals, sort of the two protagonists.
Exactly.
And put it in this sort of, as if they're about to wrestle.
It is not.
Of course not. Of course not. But you know, Jainaba, on social media, you are going to have that sort of thing.
I know.
It is just the nature of
Things.
now. You know what I mean? This is our reality now.
Right.
But fortunately, you're also going to have other platforms that will be more mature about these things.
Right.
Really. So when they meet, this is beyond all of them individually. You know what I mean? They're there to talk about the national interest. I think we can all recognize the national interest. And then when we really have good faith, we think about it, you will realize that perhaps we'll agree on many points. You see, sometimes we exaggerate the differences. Somebody once described this as the narcissism of small differences. You're just so focused on the little differences and then inflate them. But here, when we talk about dialogue, we want the opposite to happen.
Exactly.
On those things, many things that we agree, let's walk towards achieving them. You know what I mean? Forget the differences. So maybe this is sort of maturity that we want to...
So Ibrahim, I know you have the newspaper there, but before you come in, I just wanted to connect something quickly, because obviously we are talking about political party leaders meeting, and we saw that President Adama Barrow has launched his government's national recovery focused plan, which is the successor of the National Development Plan of 2018 to 2021, and this is from 2023 to 2027.
Yes.
You know, so this is like a recovery kind of plan where they're citing the COVID-19 pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, and obviously all the global issues that is affecting development globally. So what is your take when it comes to this transition, you know, from the National Development Plan that he came up with and now to this recovery plan?
Yes, I discussed this with Ade the other day. Then, of course, my immediate thought was, I wonder whether we did an evaluation of the previous one.
I'm glad you mentioned.
To know, you know what I mean? Perhaps, I imagine that they must have done. So it's simply a matter of...
there's no communication from the
simply
presidency.
a matter of the information trickling down. So we can find out what are the key takeaways, what did we achieve, what didn't we, how, whys, and that sort of thing, which would inform this one, this 2023, 2027 one, really, and that sort of thing. And of course, where it is focused, recovery, obviously, yes. I mean, the pandemic, everybody understands that. So issues. How do we make our structures, our systems more resilient to anything like that? Obviously, all of these things matter. And I also, thought perhaps naughtily, that 2027, we're going to have elections in 2026. How do you know that you'll be here in 2027? How dare you have a plan going beyond the mandate?
Your mandate,
because really, I know that you're going to have long-term plans, but you cannot assume
that you're
things.
Coming back.
I just cannot assume that. So, but apart from that, yes, this is what we expect governments to be doing all over the world. This is what they're doing anyway, coming up sort of...
But it's about the evaluation.
And climate change as well. So you have all of these new imperatives, as it were. So the whole world, everybody's really responding to this sort of thing. We are in it together, the whole world, really.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, so Maja graduate statistics
what is funny?
No, it's the point.
You sick.
I mean, he mentioned someone planning beyond your, time frame. 2027. Who knows what's going to happen? Nobody knows. So you need to know how to massage your plans.
Wow, but the reality mooy ne tam xam nga ku ñëw du dee jóg rek.
Waaw.
Come up with a plan.
Waaw.
Ku ñëw foog mu toog mu nekk transition.
Gisoon nañ fi Vision 2020. I mean, all happened na fi. I mean, so that is what it is. So Majak graduates 36 students. I mean, strengthening Gambia's media landscape over the weekend. They graduated 36 students.
Yes, congratulations. I suppose that's what we should say to all of them. What does it do? They're all journalists, aren't they?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
yeah.
No? So what other courses do they?
Did journalism and communications.
And communications.
Yes.
That's the specialty, isn't it, of Majak?
So it's an advanced diploma.
Oh, okay, yes. And that's
well, I mean, that's a good one. You know, it will train our young people on how to become responsible journalists and how to communicate in a certain way. Geneva, every time you talk about communication officers of different companies. Sometimes, you know, you will realize these people cannot even do their job. So, I mean, getting this training and graduating, I think it's a plus for the people of the Gambia.
So my take, Mr. Mboch, is that, okay, with the expansion of the media landscape in the Gambia since 2018, the coming of QTV, Paradise TV, Star TV, and all other, obviously, media outlets that are coming, obviously, due to, you know, a very healthy and free environment for media. My question is, we have the University of the Gambia where, you know, a lot of young people are also graduating with a bachelor's degree in journalism. We also have Majak. So my point is, where are all these people going to go? That's the problem, because, you know, I get calls from a lot of young people, either from Majak or from School of Journalism at the UTG, and they'll be like, oh, what is next? Oh, I'm looking for a job, you know. So when they call, I'm like, I'm not sure, you know, because it's tight, you know, currently. The system is really tight. So that is why sometimes, I don't know if this is a good advice, what I'll advise young people sometimes when they contact me from high school and want to become journalists, I'll be like, oh, maybe study political science, maybe study law, maybe study development studies, whereby when you get into journalism, you're coming with a mindset of maybe a political science bachelor's, you know, or development studies or law, whereby if you know this is not working, you can bounce back to actually what you study. Because currently, things are really, really tight.
Well, I think Geneva is concentrating only in the Gambia. You can study journalism, fine. It might be tight in the Gambia, but you can practice anywhere.
How many Gambians do you see practicing internationally? Give me the statistics.
Well,
that's the question.
It might not be many, but might be you may be the first or the second.
Yeah, but you can't risk
or you
it.
might
This
be
is a
part of the
career.
people that will start it. Nobody knows. So
that is true.
For me, I think if you are
I think
if you are to study, you should not have that notion. Okay, it's too tight. You know, each and every person and how you carry out your things. Fine, it's a good advice.
Do you know how many journalism students from UTG have graduated?
Yeah, the unemployment, I think, in many other areas, high.
Even
really.
law.
But now you also realize as well that, Geneva, most organizations now, because we're living in the media age, then they need communications officer, communications this. So you have private sector, public sector. So offices now, then they need sort of like media focal points, it seems to me.
Wow,
perhaps
media focal points that they require some element of experience. Right now, so the government parastatal see, most of ñi fa nekk 1 or 2 am nañ experience. Waaye da nga gis ne young people yi graduate pour ñu am sax fu ñoo génnee experience pour am to build their CV is a problem.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. But we used to say that there's always room at the top.
Well, yeah.
You see, good people, the really brilliant ones,
they make
no mistake about it. They will get
They
jobs.
will get there, but how many people?
And then how many? That's one thing. That is why when you cancel students, perhaps at secondary level, when it comes to career counseling, this is where you got them to think about the profession that they want to get into, the salary, how saturated is the market,
Very
you know, market saturation. So you get them to think about all of these things at that level. But again, now that you're done, you've graduated, we've gone beyond that, haven't we? So now these people, for instance, you have graduated.
Yeah.
Then you really have to ask yourself, what does it mean? You know, there's this symbolism. You wear your gown, go up, take your certificate. Absolutely. What does it mean? You see, really, what it ought to mean is this. That was just a stepping stone.
Exactly.
Now you begin truly to learn about your profession. Journalism is a vocation. You learn it by doing it.
That's my point.
So what you said earlier, that some of these people should have gone to study maybe politics, law, whatever, that sort of thing. Absolutely. Studying journalism, can you imagine? All of the great journalists I know, really, either they studied English language. I mean, the one we had here, the brilliant Peter DaCosta, we had Peter DaCosta, he studied philosophy. Or you study political science, and stuff like that, and then you go and work in journalism.
Reason why...
It's a vocational thing, you do it. You learn it by doing it.
Mr. Mboji, you're great.
So you have
great.
You have another degree.
You just put it the way I wanted to put it. Maybe I didn't put it together right. And that is why I had to go ahead to study international relations at some point to make sure that I understand certain things, I know what I'm saying, because I'll be dealing with organizations, relationships, and states. But just the journalism, you know, like you said, the greatest of the greatest people did not have to do this at the end of the day. So for me, normally, my advice to them always is that maybe consider politics, consider law, consider, because you're supposed to be open-minded, like you're supposed to have knowledge, vast knowledge. Journalism,
it's not bad, I mean, to study something aside, I mean, to put something aside.
Yeah.
Lulu is granted. You know, at some point, we have, the world is wide. It's a very, it's large. You can go anywhere and practice as well. You know, the Gambia here, swing media landscape is very tight.
Tight.
You understand? That is true. Even to acquire a job, it's a problem, you know, in the
with
media.
The salary
even
you
if
deserve.
you get a job, sometimes put new failures, it's a problem. You understand? Few media houses know for the fee, you know, fee buba. Well, apart from that, if you're looking for a high paying job, for money.
But Mr. Mbodj, dama bëgg balde mo realistic. Xam nga lu tama la war na balde realistic. Moom mu ngi wax ne wall bi dafa rëy, mun nga dem practice fu nekk. Fii fan la fi gis Gambian bi nga xamante ne mu ngi dem Gambian yu nekk bi xaw ma nag am na de. Waaye di nga gis ne BBC fële si headquarters bi man gis yëguma fa su passé Uncle Issa Williams. Dégguma fa baati benn Gambian. So da nga gis non même ma daanel rek. Mota manela Gambian, Uncle Issa Williams, Gambian.
There's Gambian.
Wow, why nyata? When you are making an argument as such, it has to be based on statistics. To tell me that in Gambia, the wall is wide, there's this certain percentage of journalists are Gambian and practicing outside. You cannot even give me a figure.
No, I'm not arguing. Wahumane lolu amna. But what I am saying, wahumane lolu amut, why it doesn't mean you study journalism, they cannot make that impact, they cannot make that change.
Why, when you make recommendation, you have to have something to point at.
Occasions you so rare.
Exactly.
So,
granted.
I understand what you mean. Young man, what is possible generally?
Thank you.
What is probable? What's been happening here? That's one bit. That's one bit. Another bit more. You graduate as well. You must take this into account. Now we live in a kind of world where Muna graduate in one course, have some degree in one course, but by them job did have something slightly differently. For instance, in my case, my journalism moment in the sense that with the Q group, I studied journalism, but first year I was an admin officer.
Look at that. So
one must have that versatility.
Yes, very important.
We're living in that kind of world now, to study one thing
and go into another.
Another.
So you don't believe
sort of thing.
Munga dem BBC.
Man waxuma ne mënuma dem BBC wala CNN de. Waaye li ma laa wax mooy man ñàkkuma amul dara pour def ak ñàkk a gëm suma boppa. amul dara pour def ak ne man mënuma faa hate os ma
You
fa
do
demee
not believe in yourself.
but Mr Mbodj li ma ko wax mooy foofu noonu comme nit da ngaa réalistique si sa bopp.
so mu ngi mel ne yow yu
man
da nga limite sa bopp.
ban limite suñ ma ooyee may daw bay daanu waaye li ma laa wax mooy foofu noonu they have their procedures, they have their ways. Sometimes you even your network even matters to get there. Do I have the network for somebody to get me there? am na yenn liggéey yi nga xamante ne sa network dafa mata pour ñu get la fa ñu la war a dimbale suñ la dimbale wut nga aaga fa doo fa musa aaga loolu yëpp dafa mata.
But Balde, what are you saying here? Anybody so pare nekk journalist.
da ngaa dem BBC.
da ngaa bëgg a génn.
du dee woo
no waxuma ne da ngaa bëgg a
I
génn.
don't understand the international.
waxuma la ne da ngaa bëgg a génn.
So what is the idea
ma ne
here?
okay fine the media landscape in the country mun naa am dafa tight. you know maybe yaa ngi am journalist yu bëri few media houses ba pare ñeneen ñi duñ dee fay ma ne so loolu warut a tax they shouldn't study journalism understand nga maybe am na ñoo xam ne dañoo bëgg a génn si biti. suñ génnee mun nañoo practice foofu.
waxante digga fii koo fi gis bëgg naa dem beyond sa dëkka dem internationally.
nothing is impossible
waaye du dee demee noonu waxuma dafa
impossible mun naa am.
Mr Mbodj kii du ma mun a agree ak moom nañ move on.
Let us agree to disagree.
waaw ñu agree to disagree man kii man naa moom xam eventually xam naa ne duñ
non lu mu nekk
So any other story?
lu mu nekk di
jox ñu beneen story.
agree uma si dara. You know, so let's talk about Mayor Bensouda handed over 175 demarcated service plots to KMC staff.
That happened on Friday.
dama ko screenshot ma send ko ma ne this is a positive move. te ñun positive moves lañ de bu a waxtaanee si programme understand nga so if a person does good, you have to talk about it because this is going to encourage other people to do it for other people as well. So, Mr.
Providing housing for your staff.
Yes.
Given from Nekanakala,
the
rent is just so
expensive.
high. It's completely crazy. Every 2 years or so, your landlord or landlady will come and tell you, look, how I feel about them. It's unbelievable.
It's
so
painful.
absolutely fine. Maybe, I don't know the details yet. What are the conditions, for instance?
Yeah, all of that.
This is, we need to get to the details. That's our job.
Yeah.
How did they get the 170
It's through their staff association.
They have a staff association.
Yeah, they have a staff association where they get it by loan to be paying gradually.
By installments.
Yes, that's how they
Absolutely.
acquire.
Yeah,
which is a normal way actually in different. Because, considering salaries in the Gambia, some individuals, if you don't give it to them that way, they're never going to acquire a piece of land. So you have to support them that way. So thumbs up to the association. They have a strong one there to be able to, get the resources to do this.
Yeah, so good morning, Mr. President. Gambia's independence education. The Point newspaper. Mr. Mbodj,
Gambia's independence. Is there a colon there or what?
There is a colon.
Okay. Education. Yeah, so what do they mean by that? For government to prioritize it? Or do they think the government is not doing much? Or it's not doing enough? What exactly are they saying?
Well,
just the right education doesn't tell us much.
It can be either way.
Can you read at least the first?
No, we cannot get into it. This is just the front page.
Because by that, it just doesn't tell us much. Should we invest more into education? What is the education profile, actually, of this country? What's going on?
Well, currently, we can authoritatively say that when it comes to access, we are not arguing about access anymore.
Yeah, at all.
Access is not a conversation. The access is there, but I think the quality and the relevance. I believe if I go through this article, one thing that will pop up is the relevance of the education system currently to our current realities as Gambians. Because the syllabus that has been there, but times are changing. For example, if a young person wants to be an entrepreneur, you study commerce, you are not taught in school how to do bookkeeping properly, how to handle your business properly. Like some of those realities, trends that obviously the education system should capture. But like I said, access is not a problem. It's about the quality and the relevance of the education that these young people are getting,
But I remember, I think, interviewing the director of curriculum research. I think they've been working on the curriculum.
Well,
to change it. There's been some movements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they have updates here and there.
Yes, both basic education
Yes.
and higher education as well. You've been having some movement after years and years of really misdirection, inadequate staffing, really, because you do have teachers. We had teachers. I think now they're trying to change that, who really needed to be taught rather than teaching the teacher quality. So there has been some movement. It's just that things might seem slow.
Yeah.
But again, this is the nature of education. I, for one, thought that it was going to take a very, very long time for us to turn things around.
Yeah.
Really, because when you compare Gambia to internationally to what's happening outside, we compare Gambia, even what's happening with our neighbors right here in West Africa, we've not been scoring too high on many indices of education. It's been going low. So it is high time to move it back up. But that's going to take a while. That's going to take a long time.
Yes.
I have, for instance, I really like our Minister of Higher Education. I think Gomez, Professor Gomez,
Yeah.
is really
Gomez.
honest and trying to do what
he's
he's
very
doing. And the Minister
straightforward.
of Basic Education, brilliant woman, Mrs. Claudiana Cole.
Right.
You trust them, but this is going to be really a very slow process. For me, I'm just happy that we are trying
Steps
to
are
turn
being taken,
around
yeah.
from what's been going on. I think that is the significant bit. And then we move on. You can never hurry these things, really.
Yeah. So to wrap it up, because it's already 9:39, Macky Sall says he's not a dictator. Where do you classify him?
Oh, no, he's not. We've had a dictator, so we know, we can recognize a dictator when we see one.
But
you know, with Senegal, they've never had a coup, they've never been under any military regime, so the slightest thing, look at what they call a dictator.
Yeah.
See, some of us, we will laugh at them because we've had the experience
we
of a
know.
dictator. We know what a dictator is. That's it, but yeah, it is worth asking. What is Macky's end game here?
Exactly.
The man said that he's not going to contest, granted. But now, why an extension? You're
December.
saying that there's a dispute between the Constitutional Council and the National Assembly, those candidates that they've refused. But who's going to solve that? Shouldn't they go to court?
Yeah, like
That's really
independent.
Like, one would have thought that there would be the sort of decision that the courts would take, would provide the solutions, not you. So what do you hope to achieve between now and December?
Yeah, big question.
You know, that's what is your end game? Who do you want to weed out?
Yeah.
Who do you want to
What
put
do you
in?
want to regulate
What do you
before
want?
time?
So it's just quite. We're just watching. The whole world is so scared that Senegal is teetering on, you know, just falling over.
Well, I'm
onto the
just
other side.
scared. Let them not destroy that good record they have. You know, Senegal is the only you know, nation in the sub-region that doesn't get a coup d'etat. So
I don't think they will be destroyed. This is the nature of democracy, really. Once in a while
People
it goes
come out.
through, it wobbles. At the very least, it wobbles. We've seen it recently, even in the USA, with the Trump issue and when they attack. Once in a while, democracy would wobble. Go and ask Britain in their history. So this is really what we're seeing. But we've seen it before, and they survived it. Do you know how many times they've changed, you know, presidents as they were peacefully? Never had a coup. So this is another wobble. So I'm not going to be alarmist about it at all. I think they will ride it through. They'll ride through the storm, as it were. It's just another test. But they've faced it before. They passed it. I think they'll pass again.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mboch, for joining us on the program. I know you and Balde did not get along with the proverb. No, it's not even a proverb, it's a
no, we
statement.
got along. I mean,
You know, you didn't get along, but thank
I
you
mean,
so much, Mr. Mboch, for
it's-
joining
it's-
us.
it's-
It's always good to have you here. And we wish you a very, very, very good and successful week ahead.
Cheers.
All right, thank
Same
you
to you,
so
yeah?
much. Thank you.
All right.
We'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, the program continues. Do stay.
Since independence in 1960, Senegal has been a great example of democracy in West Africa. Following the decision to postpone this month's presidential election, the country appears to be at crossroads, facing new challenges to its path towards progress and prosperity. Join our panel of experts at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, 13 February for a special program to discuss what recent events mean for Senegal's democratic journey and the resilience of its institutions. Host Aliou Cissé will be joined by panelist politician Halifa Sallah, Senegal's former Prime Minister Aminata Mimi Touré, lawyer Almami Tal, and historian and broadcaster QTV's Ade Darami. Remember the date and the time, Tuesday, 13 February 2024, 9 p.m. on QTV Gambia.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Soro. Go, ebe dawa full network suda tili. QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati. QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hani be wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria. QCell suñu boss. Nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Suñu boss. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Suñu boss. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Suñu boss. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Suñu boss. Itella molti milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell meta lori la kiliano liele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. Connection be bambandi QCell suñu boss. QCell most innovative QCell suñu boss.
The future is now. With QCell's 5G network, experience speeds like never before. With our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan, get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, suñu boss. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
QCell brings you the future with our ultimate bundles. Enjoy the best voice and data bundle plans in one package. Get unlimited data packages with flexible validity.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and I'm here with my co-host Ibrahim Balde. So, Ibrahim, we're now shifting our attention to the Association for the Disabled, who, in their efforts to ensure the decentralization of their activities, were in Jarasoma over the weekend for the celebrations of World Disability Day, as well as their annual general meeting to ensure that they have a new executive elected. So we're joined by Mr. Lamin Mane from the association. Thank you so much, Mr. Mane, for always joining us here to have conversations surrounding persons with disability.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And then first of all, thank the CEO for Q Group and the entire staff and management of QTV.
All right, thank you so much. So you had this commemoration of World Disability Day, which I mentioned earlier, part of efforts to decentralize activities because persons with disability exist across the country, which is a good move. So how was the celebration in Jarasoma?
The celebration in Jarasoma was very quite unique, and we feel humble and we feel very privileged to share our systems with them because they are part and parcel of us, and they are part and parcel of the Gambia. Because if you talk about disability, it's from cartoon to Koina.
Right.
So decentralizing the occasion is a great achievement. And it has come at the right time for them to know that we are together in this cause, and we shall be together always. That's why we moved the World Disability Day celebration as well as AGM to Jarasoma, for everybody to be inclusive.
Yeah,
And,
so before we talk about the AGM, Ibrahim, I think it is important that we also, take a look at issues surrounding persons with disability in the Gambia, and then we'll shift to the annual general meeting. So I always ask this question to persons with disability. When the bill was passed at the Disabilities Bill was passed at the National Assembly, we saw how across the country, not just persons with disability, but stakeholders and just individuals were so happy that, this bill has been passed and it's in the laws of the Gambia that persons with disability should be protected in certain ways, that provisions in the laws. But what changes have you seen since the passing of that particular bill at the National Assembly?
Thank you so much for that question. Well, let's start before the Disability Act.
Right.
The enactment of the Disability Act. The bill has been dragging for so long, almost 10, 11 years,
right,
from the former regime. But thanks to the change of government, under the leadership of His Excellency President Barrow, during the coalition, we definitely struggled to say our best it can become a thing of past, and we can realize our dreams. When you talk about the Disability Act, it is we today. That's my slogan. It is we today. It might be anyone tomorrow.
Right.
So the bill is there to guide
it can be
everyone. Those who are yet to be persons with disability yet, or even a generation yet to be born. So it was a very good instrument for that Disability Act to come in, to protect and to provide, because we are all human beings and we are all citizens of this country. We are all taxpayers. There should be equality. That disability bill, it was been dragging so long, but thanks to the change of government, it has come. The dream has come into reality. But after because the bill, the Disability Act, the President Appendix 6 signature in October 2021. That was the time when everything was okay. Yes, I would say we achieved part of it, because after the enactment, there's a component within the disability called National Disability Council, which was also already inaugurated by the Secretary of State.
I was there.
At OIC building. I think you remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
So that's another achievement.
Right.
Okay. When you come to the another side also, it has given us an empowerment. Before the Disability Act or after the Disability Act, it has given us empowerment for us to contribute more as we continue to contribute our quota. But it also paved a way for advocacy to have more dividend, because without that it will be difficult. Challenges are huge, achievements are there, but it has also contributed a lot to our lives. That is the Disability Act. But to be frank, after the Disability Act has been
the bill,
it has now become an act.
Yeah,
there are so many things that have been put into the Disability Act, but they are not being implemented.
They are not implemented.
What
so
are these?
The country, the problem of Gambia is implementation.
We are good on paper and pen.
Very good. Even from the First Republic, Second Republic, Gambians are good. Our technocrats are good in technical department and everything, I call it. But when it comes to implementation, it's slowly. So that question is a very good question. We are still facing some challenges, huge one. Because you come to mobility, it's a problem. Mobility is accessibility to wheelchairs, crutches and white cane and so forth. Braille for the disabled, visual impaired. It's a challenge. And you come to employment also, it's a problem. You come to education, access to education is a big problem. A person with disability will struggle with their family members or friends to go to a level, to push yourself, or people push you to go to a level to educate. But after education, you come to zero. Why I said zero? You go to employment, you are not catered. You have been discriminated. But it happens to me when I did my course. After my primary, secondary, and everything, I went to British Telecom School, where you call it GTTI today in Banjul. It was owned by Gamtel, before Gamtel built GTMI. After an intensive course of 18 months there, out of 85 students, I came second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but end of the day, when I went for an interview, I was dropped. Categorically, because I'm physically challenged. That was completely an insult. You know why I said it's an insult? Because you give me the avenue to do the course. And at the end of the day, it's not the leg doing the job, it's the brain, it's the mindset. But when I was dropped, I fight. I said, no, that's not the end of my life. I must fight. because I studied this and I believe I can do it.
Right.
Then I start to fight up to the authorities, to the vice president then, Bibi Dabo. And then Sadawara Karavajara, may he so rest in perfect peace. And they listen to me. They are keen listeners. And when I presented my documents, oh, come on, I was employed by Gambia.
Amazing.
So the segregation was complete. You know, we the disabled, we are called disabled, but let me tell you, I call it, we international norms and values, it is category called persons with differently able.
Yes, differently able.
No, we are not disabled.
Yeah.
You can do it in another way. I can do it in another way.
That's what I
So end of the day, we all deliver.
We all have our own way
Ways
of
of
doing
This
doing
is it.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. But you know, government need to have one thing in their mindset. Disability is not inability. So if they are able to create an enable environment, they will see how potential they are, and they are meaningful to the society.
Right.
So Disability Act will definitely pave the way.
Yeah.
But to be honest, even today I'm on papers. If standard printed out, I'm on papers. Complain about the amount of money that was allocated for the persons with disability issue. It's a chicken change as far as I know. $10 million is nothing. Do you know we have 400 or 500,000 disabled in this country?
Right.
The present current situation. Creating $10 million for them, for their issues, is a chicken change as far as I know.
Right.
I condemn it. I ask the president and the minister of finance and the entire cabinet to go back to the drawing board to change that amount, because that amount is so small, and it is not a privilege. It is a right for them to do that. It is already in the Disability Act.
Right.
So don't call it a privilege. You see, there are certain things you call a privilege, certain things, they are laws. Because at the moment the president appendix his signature on that document, my brother and sister, it's a law. You confirm that to us that you're going to do as it is.
So why do you believe that the 10 million is not enough?
No, it's not enough. You know why? Before we talk about disability bill in 2021, it became a Disability Act.
Right.
Before the president appended his signature.
Yeah.
Remember, we've been struggling with disability bill.
All right.
And we've been struggling with essential material like wheelchairs for the past years.
Okay.
Wheelchairs are not, they are scared in this country. From my own survey, when you remember Access Bank, Trust Bank, Social Security supported me
Yes.
in donating wheelchairs.
I saw
At that time, each wheelchair is $8,000. Second-hand wheelchairs from a container.
Okay.
Now today, as I'm talking to you, each wheelchair is $10,000 from a second-hand wheelchair from a container.
Okay.
So the amount is skyrocketing.
Okay. And the 10 million is for generally every person visually
Even for
impaired.
every person.
all
This
persons.
10 million is to cater for these conferences and seminars.
Yes.
With the board meetings of the GFD or whatever, or the National Disability Council.
Right.
All these are 10 million are for that. And also the activities. You don't talk about the wheelchair, the material. Because right now, from my research, and the contact I have in the United States of America and the UK, a brand new wheelchair in a carton is just $200. A brand new wheelchair in a carton, $200. How many million can we spend to get wheelchairs? It's very simple. And even the company told me, the more we want to order from them, they can give us more free.
Okay.
So these are things. Though that $10 million, as far as I know, and as far as I know the status of the current situation of the persons with disability in this country, 10 million is chicken change.
Okay, so let's move on to the annual general meeting, because the celebration was alongside an AGM to ensure that new members are elected to the association.
Thanks for that, because
yes. How was the AGM?
The AGM was fine,
Okay.
and it was done, coordinated correctly by all of us. But I thank the GFD former board. 3-4 months ago, I categorically said I'm not going to participate. I don't need any position there. You remember I resigned from the Secretary General because of my course I'm doing at MDI.
Right.
And I told them 4 or 5 months ago, I'm not interested in any position. But we'll push agenda together so that we can have a new board and a new chairman if possible, or the old chairman can continue where he stopped. And then to see how best we can put more new faces there to push the agenda. Because disability is a cross-cutting issue.
Right.
It's too huge. So there, the AGM, we decided to put it to make it at Jarasoma, and it was successful. So in fact, because I didn't participate, I don't need any position there, but I was part of the coordinating team, and I was even taken as by IEC as an observer,
Nice.
election observer.
Amazing.
Yeah, I and Seni Kamara were taken as an observer because we need to make sure that we bring some other people there so that they can push the agenda.
Okay. So who's the president now?
We make sure that Krubal goes unopposed
Okay.
because, you know, the term of the constitution is 2 terms.
Okay.
So he served 1 term. You know, the interim I was there with him. The first time I was there with him as Secretary General. But after my resignation, he continued.
Okay.
The term has finished, and he has a lot of things on the table
That
if he is given an opportunity, he will be able to complete those things, we hopefully,
Nice.
before the end of the year, because it's 4 year. So we believe let him continue to be there for the next term, so that where he stopped, he can continue with that. But nonetheless, I make sure that we are able to change the board, so that we can bring some other people there. Although the former board, they did well, they definitely tried well.
But we still need new brains to
New
think.
brains, because we are living in a...
Yes, so I'm aware that we have very limited time right now.
Yeah.
So what are your final words on the
My
program?
final word is, I thank government of the day for being there to see how best they push the agenda of the Disability Act, and also they were able to put something like $10 million. But I'm still urging the president and the entire cabinet to go back to the drawing board to increase the tank. And I thank everybody in this country, particularly the media.
Yeah.
It's through media we are able to achieve all these things.
All right.
And,
Thank you
and
so
that
much.
media is including
Thank you
50.
so much.
Thank you.
So we
thank you
forgot
so
to
much.
mention our sponsors. Our sponsors are right in front of you. You know, the Lido. Thank you so much for being our partners on this program. We really, really appreciate it. Go ahead and try the coffee, or you have the tea options, or, you know, try the cow milk. You know, I really enjoy the cow milk. So there are a lot of options when it comes to the Lido brand. So it's just left to you as to what you want. Coffee, tea, milk, you name it. And the milk comes in different forms depending on your diet, Ibrahim. So Ibrahim, that is all we have time for.
Yes. Until tomorrow?
Yeah. Bye for now. Bye. Have a nice day.